This first session is discussing career serendipity and the advantages of unexpected opportunity. And so we have two amazing people, Lily Chang and Joanne Pons. And so I will begin by introducing you to Joanne Pons, our moderator. Joanne leads the applications engineering team as the VP of engineering at MyVest. She oversees product and tech strategy. She also has served on the board of CodeEd, a nonprofit teaching computer science to girls in underserved communities. She was also voted as the 2016 Best Tech Manager at the Timmy's in San Francisco. So she'll be helping lead our conversation today. Joanne.
Welcome, everyone. We're really excited to start the track for stories this afternoon. I have the pleasure of introducing Lily Chang, who is VP of Engineering of Strategic Transformation at VMware. She's a board member of Sugon VMware Joint Venture and Women Who Code. And Lily has been recognized as one of the 39 most powerful female engineers of 2018 by Business Insider. Welcome, Lily. Okay. All right. Okay. So your title is fitting because it includes the word transformation, and our theme is transformation and transitions in your career. And as we prepared for this discussion, something that resonated with me is key moments in your career that were unexpected opportunities and how you took advantage of them. So we want to start off with how you even got into computer science. So could you talk about that journey with us?
To share with you one of my secrets, my undergraduate major is in foreign languages and literature. So most people mistaken that I was born and raised in the United States. I wasn't born and raised in the United States. Thanks to my foreign language major. I could speak English very well. My mom sent me to Catholic school. So I also read Bible since early age, right? So the journey is that I was never that great in math. But I decided that when I come to the United States for the undergraduate degree, I said I want to work with people because I really enjoy having a good rapport with a different type of people. Understanding society may impact that way, right? And so basically I decided, okay, I can't really do foreign languages and literature and accomplish that. So I decided what I want to do is to be a journalist. So I applied for the Department of Journalism in UW-Madison. I was a foreign student, by the way. And when I got into UW-Madison campus, day one of the registration, I looked at the curriculum. My heart dropped to the rock bottom and basically said, this is so theoretical. I'll never get to meet a lot of people, right? So I went, talked with the department and said, look, I appreciate you accept me, but I really don't like your department. I have this career goal, this is what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. It's a graduate school, right? In retrospect, I really don't know where I got the courage because I was an F1 visa foreign student. I run the risk of being exported. I just didn't realize it when I did it, right? And then basically the department was very kind. He actually helped me to basically found the business school. Because obviously you deal with people, right? Because he asked me, so what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to manage people. So I took about 6 months in the business school, and one day the product marketing professor tapped on my shoulder and said, hey, I want to talk with you. And then so that was the most defining moment in my career journey in the beginning. He asked me a question. He said, you're in business school, what do you want to do? I said, I want to manage people. He said, what type of people? And then I said, well, any people. And then he said, no, this is not how business school work. You're first good at something, you know, so people will respect you, and then you manage. Then he said, what are you good at? I said, wow, I don't really know. He said, that's your problem number one. You need to find what you're good at. Right? So with his help, I finally decided that I will move into computer science. And the reason is because he suggested me to take Pascal. I don't know people here still remember Pascal. Okay, good. I was born in the computer science era of Pascal and Modular 2. So basically, I love Pascal because it feels like a natural language to me. But it's not a natural language, right? But it has the logic. You express your logic, you combine the linguistic with it, so I fell in love with it, right? So at that time, my dad said, well, you're a foreign student, it's so expensive, make sure you graduate within 2 years, right? Including the 6 months in MBA school, and I managed. So I got a degree, I think, in 18 months, including the MBA school. That was really tough, but I enjoy every minute of it, yeah.
So after school, your career took you to Sun, and that's where you were promoted to your first engineering manager role. A lead role. But it wasn't easy to get there, and this is a great story that you'll share with everyone.
Okay. So Sun doesn't exist anymore. Very sad. Part of Oracle. So basically, I was at Sun Microsystems when the languages group was less than 17 people. And so I had a lot of fun, right? And at that time, I basically has been in computer industry for a while. It wasn't my first job. I think it was maybe my second or the third, right? So I wanted to become a manager. I'm not so sure I knew what it really meant, but it sounded really good. And it was my career original goal anyway. So I figured I'm ready for the challenge. So I told my boss. And then my boss said, okay, Sun was very small at that time, right? And growing very rapidly. So they have very simple criteria. He said, first, you have to be a lead. Then I said, what does it take to be a lead? They said, well, you need to bring something from concept to actual customer acceptance. Then you'll qualify. I said, that's it? They say, yep. So then I said, okay, let's find a short and sweet project that will get me to get there in 3 months. My boss said, wow, that's pretty tough. From concept to customer acceptance in 3 months, let's try for 6 months. So he found a little project that was really cute at that time, right? Basically, it was working with Bell Lab, with Bjarne Stroustrup, called something called C from 1.0, right? I don't know how many of you in the audience is programming in C++. My journey was in C++. By the way, I'm a compiler writer, right? I stopped counting how many compiler I wrote for after 24. So basically, I feel like, okay, this is easy, slam dunk. I did a lot. This thing is a translator. It's not even a real compiler. It's easy, right? And short and sweet, built on top of C. I know really well. Let's just get this going, right? Nice concept, working with Bell Lab, distinguish, and I'll get a release, right? Lo and behold, I need to figure out the release criteria. So I went to my second line manager at that time. Well, he's actually quite famous nowadays. So basically I asked him, said, well, what do I need to prove to you the thing is ready for prime time? He said, oh, that's very simple. You just need to get 100 customers to send me an email. All they need to say in the email is, I am happy. And I said, wow, that's really easy. Because to some extent, I was thinking, wow, this is so easy to understand. I can do it. He said, you could do it? Okay, let's make sure you understand. If you have a project that has 100 people that count as one customer, I said, oh, yeah, that's fair. That's fair, right? So basically, that was the criteria. So you want to take a guess? So I went through the journey of C from 1.0, 1.1, 2.0, 2.1, 3.0, 3.1, and then finally HP and I went bananas and went to Bjarne and begged and plead and kneel down. Even went to Kernighan Ricci and said, let's please have an NC C++ committee. If you know anything about committee, it takes forever to vote, blah, blah, blah. So finally, by the time I got people to send 100 happy customer email, it was 24 months after. So a short and sweet 6 months project turned into a 2-year project. But still, when I look back, I thought we were in really agile turbo speed, right? Consider the evolution we went through. But the lesson I learned from all this is nowadays in engineering, we do a lot of release criteria, like a 0 severity 0, right? 0 severity 1. People debate on severity criteria. But at that time, Eric had a very simple criteria. 100 happy customer email to me, not to you, right? Then you are ready for release. He said, you go do whatever you believe is the engineering discipline that needs to get the release ready, make all release engineer happy, make everybody happy, right? And bear in mind, you never make anybody happy because then this probably is a release that's really bad. But I want 100 happy customer email as non-negotiable. So
Thank you for sharing. Something that resonates for me is your persistence to this challenge, even through unexpected criteria to achieve it. So.
From it, then I think you actually thrive from the learning process. That was, in retrospect, I think the biggest thing I can share with the audience.
And now you're VP of Strategic Transformation at VMware. You actually have an interesting path into this new role, which is in itself a transition and transformation for you. So please share about this role and your path to it.
So basically, even after writing so many compiler introducing languages, there was comment that was provided to me as a feedback is that I actually don't understand hardware. So I choose to not take it as an offense. So I choose to say, well, somebody's just nice to point out the area that I can improve my career and portfolio. So I actually went into the semi-conductor field. Basically, KLA-Tencor is already bought by Lam Research, right? So they basically produce these gigantic machines that are lithography, metrology kind of machine and defect inspection, right? So basically, I end up wearing bunny suits. I don't know if you actually go to Tech Museum. There's actually one floor that has a little section from Intel that actually show you what a bunny suit was like. So I was wearing bunny suit because I was a software engineer in a hardware system company, and they had a very interesting definition for software. Again, really simple. And I learned it on day one in a customer escalation from the VP of operation, because we were debating whether that bug belongs to operation or quote-unquote software. In the middle of the call, he muted the phone and said, Lily, you don't understand. In this company, anything that moves, including airflow, is software. So this thing obviously moves. So it's not hardware operation problem. So basically that was the world I was in. I didn't want to be a hardware engineer, but I spent 8.5 years, close to 9 years. I feel like I learned enough, which I think made me a better software engineer, actually. And then I realized that I couldn't really do any VLSI design to save my life. And I don't want anybody to mistake me for a hardware designer. So I decided I need to go back to the software industry. That's where I landed in VMware about 8-9 years ago. And that was at the point they were really like taking off. I decided to take an in-between computer science field, which is ecosystem engineering. So you still do engineering work, but you're dealing with the API, plugins, all these kind of things to make the ecosystem successful. So if any of you read the financial 10K report, which I do nowadays quite a bit, basically 10K report you see from VMware, majority of the business, a big contribution comes from the ecosystem, meaning your partners. People that you work with to make your solution more complete and more acceptable and more useful, right? So I spent quite a bit of my time over there. And then VMware decided to start a joint venture. I was very fortunate. Our CEO nominated me to take care of the engineering aspect, which was great. And in a very casual conversation with Pat, and which I thought it was very amazing coming from a CEO because I didn't think I was that high level in the organization. And then he basically said, hey, Lily, have you thought about, after decades in software, what do you want to do next, right? So it's almost like reminded me of that product marketing professor that asked me that compelling question. I said, Pat, I don't know. He said, you just want to forever do this? Or you want to kind of transform yourself a little bit? And then I said, well, I don't know. What's your thought? And he said, looking at you, I think you want to think about maybe increase your business skill, because that will basically enrich your entire portfolio and you probably will get some fun out of it. So I decided, I actually don't know what I'm getting into because I'm one of those engineering manager. I hope there's no product manager in the room. I'm one of those engineering manager that never think product manager, right? That create a product requirement. I have the compulsion to rewrite it for them. I never believe the product marketing knows how to position the incredible, amazing technology I created. They always communicate it incorrectly to the customers, right? So basically I said, wow, good. Maybe it will change the landscape a little bit, right? So I jump into the business world. That's where I took over the Strategic Transformation Office, where we are kind of the in-house strategic consultants, kind of like McKinsey or Boston Consulting Group. But we go cross-cut across the company, basically on portfolio, technology, innovation, business, operation, and organization. Yeah.
And it's been quite a learning experience for you in the last 2 years, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. We now have time for some audience questions.
Yeah, my name is Emma.
Hi.
I'm an engineering manager at Stripe. From your story, it definitely sounded like the path was not quite smooth, but it sounded like relatively smooth. Can you tell us a moment where you felt panicked or like you felt like your world is crumbling down, how you dealt with it, how you came out from that?
Actually, for storytelling point of view, it sounds very smooth, but every turn was actually pretty substantial. So, because every change I did was actually changing field, so I actually run the risk of unemployment. So that's the biggest risk, right? I remember when I decided to take the plunge to go into the business side, my most recent shift, I went interview internally with lots of VP, and everybody said, wow, you will have to go back to be the basic level of product manager. Then I would say, wow, that's insulting, right? So basically that journey wasn't easy. So I was I'm pretty grateful to my company that actually did find a great match at the end. But it was really not like a slam dunk situation. You actually have to thought through, like, what can you actually offer to a world that actually is very different, right? Because on the flip side, for the business world, now I live in the business world for about 2 years, they really look at engineer very differently, right? So it's kind of like I'm the Roman in the Greek, right? And when I go back to the business unit, I'm kind of the other way around. So the good thing is I know both sides of the language, which helps my communication and helps the negotiation. Frankly, that's the net of it. But as I go through the journey, it was pretty hard, right? In terms of how do you find the right match that match your passion, match your goal? You kind of have to have that passion you really want to do it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Lily.
That's all the time we have for Q&A. Let's give them a big round of applause.